Canadians with family members in Gaza just announced their intention to prosecute Canadian government officials. Their goal, they said, is to hold accountable any Canadian officials where there's evidence the person has been quote-unquote complicit or otherwise, quote, aided and abetted the, quote, perpetration of war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide by Israel in the occupied Palestinian territory on or after October 7th, 2023. Here's what you need to know. The intention to prosecute was announced today on behalf of a group of Canadian individuals and families with relatives in Gaza. According to the press release, these relatives have either been unalived, injured, or affected by, quote, the Israeli army as a result of events beginning on October 7th, 2023. Or it adds, quote, they continue to be stranded in the occupied Palestinian territory. In addition to holding accountable any official found to be complicit in war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide, the goal is also, they said, to hold accountable any official where there's evidence they, quote, did not exhaust all measures at their disposal to facilitate the evacuation of Canadian citizens and Canadian residents stranded in Gaza. Here's what the family members had to say.
There were many public statements that Canada supported Israelis' attacks while my family and I were still in harm's way. My name was called. I felt like I'm born again. And I won the lottery of life. I was one of the lucky ones to leave for safety to Cairo. I left behind many who are not as lucky like I am. I left behind the smell of death, the horrifying sounds of explosion, and the sight of dogs eating the flesh of the dead bodies. I cannot help them, but the least I can do is to ask my government to call for ceasefire. The people of Gaza deserve to be lucky like me, too. I am still working to get my sister and her husband out. Their children are here with me. I pray every day that they will see each other again.
You may not care to learn the names of my family and the countless civilians killed simply because they are Palestinian, but your names will be immortalized as the signatories of their violent demise, and history will not be kind to you.
So what are the odds they'll actually succeed in this prosecution? The lawyer working on it had this to say in a press conference today.
Sends a message to the state and those responsible that those actions must stop. And as part of that, I guess the notion of complicity is that not calling for a ceasefire, not taking that step is facilitating that harm from taking place.
I also spoke with another lawyer, Michael Spratt, who told me this is likely a, quote, symbolic action. Private prosecutions are very, very difficult, he said. And even if they get off the ground, the Crown can step in at any point and stop proceedings. Spratt also warned that prosecuting Canadian officials could set a, quote, very dangerous precedent, especially if they were following lawfully enacted public policy. And on top of that, immunity could be relevant here. The bottom line, Spratt said, is that this is, quote, very, very complex and likely not one case will end up in court. Though he said it's important to look very closely at Canada's role in international events, as, quote, Western democracies don't have clean hands when it comes to these complex issues. And sunlight, he said, is often the best disinfectant. What do you think of all this?